In this video, we're going to show you exactly how we post job ads that win and contribute to the system where we have a 95% employee retention rate. You're not going to want to miss this. It's Chapter 1, Lesson 4 of our employee hiring system made easy, where truly you can work less and profit more. There will be action items at the end because all of this education is simply entertainment if you don't do anything with it. And if you're thinking about growing your business by hiring virtual assistants, a congratulations is due to you, because that is the single biggest move that you can make in your business to see it grow as long as you do it right. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. I want to begin with a quote by Matthew Jeffrey. He's the global head of sourcing at SAP, and he said, "Recruitment is marketing. If you're a recruiter nowadays and you don't see yourself as a marketer, you're in the wrong profession." Now, understand, of course, we're not necessarily a recruiter. The approach you want to take is as a recruiter when you're hiring somebody, because that's the way that you get quality candidates that are going to stick with your company long-term to grow your business so you can succeed. And it starts with all of the other training we've had before in this series. I encourage you actually go watch that. And if you're watching this and haven't seen it, then you can see those linked in the description below. But part of the process here is creating job ads that actually attract the right candidates. Now, as far as writing a compelling job post, we're going to take you into a live active job post of ours. We're going to go step by step, bullet point by bullet point. That is also in this training and address the thing that makes that job post so killer and attracts these candidates that win for the role that we'll show you. Now, as far as the vision, if you're looking to expand your role, you need to understand that from the beginning so you can communicate that as well. And ask the question, will there be any opportunities for management in that? If you are looking to expand the role, of course, we would encourage you to include both of those things, because you're not going to want to manage these individuals long term. That's just not a scalable business model to stay the manager. Now, obviously, that comes with the disclaimer that in the beginning, you may be. And that's why we also wanted to create this system, because we talk about the 4 key positions that you need to hire. The first one is the executive assistant, but the truth is we know that that might just be you, but that's going to arm you with the ability to understand that role even at a high level, especially when it comes to interviewing candidates, because we do suggest that you have your EA or executive assistant conduct the first interview and all of this stuff that we're covering right now. So let's continue. Your unique value proposition, that's the vision, not just for your company, but for the role, and it should be communicated in the job post, but also your vision for the company. And a quality candidate that you're interviewing may also have other skill sets that'll benefit your organization. So it's important to communicate that as well, even in the job post, but also in the interview. And also, do you offer benefits? Communicating that is going to be huge. If you haven't seen the previous chapter where we talked about critical considerations when hiring virtual assistants, you want to check that out, because we go into a little bit more depth about benefits and different pay structures so that you can actually get candidates that are going to stick with you long term. Determining what to expect, and that's your expectations. Now, most who hire don't know what to expect because they haven't thought through what we cover in this training, and it ends up with unmet, unspoken expectations, and then the finger pointing and the blame game ensues. Now, when it comes to writing a compelling job ad that attracts the right candidate, this assumes that you've identified who you're going to hire. This system is going to focus on business scale, beginning with the executive assistant, even if it's you to begin with, and these 3 key sales rules. You'll also discover that at the end of this training, we have a 5th key role that we're going to be sharing as well, and we're putting that into a specific bonus training, so you want to stay tuned, because that is a killer role that every business owner, specifically in the real estate industry, has to hire in addition to these to scale their businesses even further. And we're going to get into the actual job post in a second. Now, before putting ink to paper, you want to determine what your job responsibilities are and be as exact as possible. We are going to bookend this training here before we dive into the actual job ad itself with a prepare to share section, which is really important. One specific way that'll help you determine those job responsibilities to be even more exact, to make sure that you're not missing anything, and it'll really give you clarity with what we're about to cover in just a second. So as far as pay rate, you want to know what's normal, what's the industry standard for that. Now, if you're following our system and you've followed our recommendations that we've shared, onlinejobs.ph is where we would recommend you hire. And if you haven't seen more insight about that, we do a compare and contrast between Fiverr and online Jobs.ph, as well as Upwork and other places that you can hire virtual assistants. But all that said, you can follow that link in the description below if you want to use that affiliate link to support the channel. And of course, we would thank you. But you want to make sure that you have that guide, and you can find that guide, salary guide, linked below, investortools.us, capitalization and the hyphen matter. Now, as far as the time that's involved, this changes obviously on levels of experience, which is usually tied directly to pay. Speaking of salary, so consider how long it actually takes you to do the thing you're outsourcing, or how long it used to take you if you're not doing it anymore. It's also really important that you define benchmarks for raises and promotions as the role goes. Just thinking back to answering that question, is there going to be management opportunities? Are you going to be scaling this team? That definitely should be coming with pay increases as you continue to give them more responsibility. And we're going to jump into the job ad here in just a second. Right after this, prepare to share. This is something, again, of course, you want to think about ahead of time. Prepare to share what sets you apart from other companies, because they'll be interviewing you as well, or they should be. So in order to do this, and as I promised, in order to help yourself determine the responsibilities, you want to create SOPs and training resources so you can consider documenting every single step as you do before you make the move to hire somebody else. And consider this, that by creating the SOPs, you're not only going to make the training and managing of your new hire simple, but the act of actually creating these SOPs and trainings will help inform you of what the role entails. Because it's like if you've done something for so long, some of it becomes second nature, but then when you go to teach somebody else, you may kind of forget that, especially when you're just doing a job ad, when you're creating a job ad and the responsibilities. And a tool that you can use to make this happen really efficiently, I linked it right below, investortools.us, free screen recorder. So you can go there and check that out. So now let's dive into an example of a job post that we've already put out, and I'll identify some of these key points so that you can follow along and create your own. So this is online Jobs.ph, where our job posts are. And as you can see, we have a lot of job posts here, and we've been doing this for some time. Right now, we got 1,008 hits on this, so we had to take it off. And it says we have 14 applicants. What that means is we had 14 people that incorrectly applied because we asked them to read it all the way through, which is a huge point to remember when creating a job post. So let's talk about one in particular that is relevant to the real estate investing space. Although we have a lot of different types of job posts here, we'll get into one that's active and we'll just read this together. So this is what we put together. REI Made Easy Inc. is a real estate investing business that is redefining the future of the industry. We're on a mission to shape real estate investing across the United States with motivated seller lead generation. We're becoming the one-stop shop for companies looking to generate motivated seller leads on autopilot to scale their real estate investing businesses. Because we're growing so fast, we're looking to hire several positions for real estate phone acquisitions. This is a cold call position. Now, you know, as I had mentioned, to clearly define the future of the role as well. I'm speaking to the fact that we're growing the team. There are, at least here is implied, management opportunities. We already have a manager in place right now. But at the end of the day, we're hiring more than one person, so we're going to continue to keep this job post active. For you, this might be we're looking to hire one person. So this is the way that you'd want to create your job post, to just tell a little bit about the company and what you do. For you, it might be a single real estate investing company, and that's fine. For us, we actually have clients where we fulfill done-for-you marketing, and that includes cold callers and the text message marketers and a whole lot of other stuff that we'll do. And for our clients, we need a lot more cold callers than just for our own real estate investing business. So that's why we're posting this as REI Made Easy Inc., whereas some will post for Lazarus Property Group LLC, which is that. So a couple of those key points that we've already hit here to let you know. Now, of course, we need to determine the job descriptions, the job responsibilities, but here's something that's really important to include in all of your job posts. I asked them to please read the entire job posting. There are specific instructions we ask you to follow as you apply. If these instructions are not followed, you will not be considered for employment. We're excited to hear from you. You want to throw some hoops in there for them to jump through a little bit because we want to make sure that they read it. What we've discovered, and what I've discovered over the last decade plus, more like 15 years of hiring virtual assistants, is that a lot of virtual assistants will just see the title and then they'll click apply and then paste a canned response saying, I saw your job post, I feel like I'm a good fit for the position. And I'll actually share some of those with you that they have actually submitted to that so that you can see what I'm talking about. But that just is a red flag indication that they didn't actually read it all the way through. And I'm very specific asking them to do that. So it's not really that hard. If they can't follow those simple instructions, I'd suggest this for you too, to put those in there, then decide for yourself and your own business, they shouldn't get to the next stage. So the duties and responsibilities, I always like the but are not limited to, because when we're on the interview with them, I'm going to look into what are the other things that they like doing, things that they're good at doing, and their past experiences. How might they be able to fit in the company long term if maybe they're just good at cold calling, but they don't really like to do it, and they're fine doing it, but they really have a desire to do something else. So of course, we're talking about outbound and inbound leads, prospect for new business leads in your pipeline daily, and then, manage and organize leads because we want them to input them and track KPIs and stuff like that, and accurately track and convey productivity. Of course, those are the KPIs to management, and qualify leads to accurately convey motivation, competition, financial specifications to real estate agents. Now, the schedule here, of course, whatever makes sense for you. Since we have clients all over the United States, it's US hours. So we'll determine where we're going to put them in what time zone. But for you, obviously, you would just put, if you're on the East Coast, you'd put Eastern Standard Time. And of course, we know this is a remote job. So qualifications for us, this is important to note that they need to have at least 1 year of proven real estate experience as a cold caller, and they need to have excellent English communication skills. The main point here is that we're defining and setting the terms. This is part of setting expectations. This is what we expect of somebody that we're going to be speaking with. And of course, we don't always get that, and hence the vetting process that we're going to be going through and sharing with you in this whole course in the series. So all that said, technical requirements are an important piece to put in any job post. And I know we didn't cover that as job ads that attract the right candidates, but it's important to note this because if they just have like an iPad or a cell phone and you're hiring them to do something that's going to require what a computer would necessitate, then clearly you want to define that in the job post, because they may say cold caller. Well, that's fine. I have a cell phone. I could make a phone call. So USB headset with noise canceling feature, that's definitely key. A working webcam, because we want to be able to communicate with them face to face. Remember, this is about building a relationship with somebody, and you can't really do that if they're just a name and a black square. And these are just some tech specifications and internet specifications that they would need as well. Now, this is the part that we shared in a previous training about benefits. Now, as it pertains to Filipino VAs, those in the Philippines, we really want to promote job security and stability. And this is true for anybody, anywhere. They want a job that they're actually going to be able to stick with. So put yourself in a position to be an employer that they can stick with. And a lot of these things will help with that or to that end. So we do have an exceptionally supportive team. There is opportunities for career growth. This was the key point there where I talked about partly defining benchmarks. You'll get into that in the interview, but at the end of the day, we put this in there so they know that you don't have to be a cold caller if you just want to be a cold caller. In addition to the point that I made about other skill sets that they might have to benefit your business, and then it branches out from there. So we do pay the 13th month, that's specific, as well as PhilHealth and SSS to the Philippines. And then the salary, and I mentioned this, we want to know the normal pay rate, and we want to be as specific as possible. Right now, as it stands, they know the normal salary for this job. So, and at the end of the day, you have the option to put it up here in salary depends on experience and skill set. And that's true. There is a sliding scale that in that investortools.us/salary guide that you saw on the other screen, you can go and see what that is, and they'll know of that too here on onlinejobs.ph. So that's why we put that in there. Now, if you're not using onlinejobs.ph, then put right here in the salary what your budget is for them, okay? Now, the next steps, we want to be super clear about this. We wanted them to read the whole thing, so we put this here, right? We hope you read the entire job posting. Only qualified candidates will be considered, and that's absolutely true to set that standard. Please compose a separate email to this email address and make sure this email comes from your own email account, not from the onlinejobs.ph. So right now we're taking them out of the system for onlinejobs.ph. We don't want to use their emails and I'll show you why, as I promised I would share in a minute. But we want to use the automations that we've set up in our own email account, which is coming up in the next training. So you're definitely going to want to see that. So make the subject line. We ask them to do this exactly whatever it is. In this case, it's REI cold caller position applicant. And that way we can quickly and easily just type that into the search, and then we can tag things appropriately, see who applied correctly, and make it absolutely exactly this. You know, there are times where they won't capitalize something that they should have capitalized. I don't really discredit them for that because it could have been a typo. And they may be, hey, I just read this, I took the time to do it, but I'm also applying for other jobs. That's totally fine. So we want to give a little bit of grace in that situation, but of course that depends on you if you want to. And I would also suggest you write this. Please share your resume and a brief description of why you feel you would be the perfect fit for our team. The brief description, sometimes people miss that. And I do want to be clear about that I usually won't consider them if they don't put something in there that they're telling me why they would be a good fit, because it's part of the instructions that I asked for. And it doesn't have to be anything out of this world. I could see the same thing from everybody, and it doesn't change the fact that it's not about what they say, it's about that they actually did it, to vet candidates to make sure that they can at least follow basic instructions. So of course, I repeat it. Please note, if you do not follow these simple instructions, your application will be rejected and you will not be considered for employment with our company. The hiring manager will not be looking inside of onlinejobs.ph for your response. Excited to get your resume and look forward to potentially offering you an interview and meeting with you soon. This is a full-time, long-term position. So, and then of course, what I like about onlinejobs.ph is it lets you categorize these, which many other job post sites do as well. But to that end, even though we're that specific in every single one of the job posts that we put out there, inevitably we're going to get people who don't read it at all, and it's all going to go unread. Message 26, there was a time I cleaned this up, so there were way more than that. But here you go. Your search is over. I am your assistant video editor. Now let's just look at this. Okay, so this was obviously for a different position. We're growing the video editing team, and shout out to Jay, the man who is editing this right now and editing all the videos. He does an incredible job. I used to do it, and I wasn't as good as him and as fast as him. So he's doing a great job there. But at the end of the day, he says, after recently came across your job posting for video editor, I was motivated to send my application to be part of your company. As an experienced senior video editor with over 5 years of experience, I can share my expertise and knowledge. So I'm reading this to you as an example to state this. He might actually be all of those things, but what he's not is somebody who follows instructions. So the first and foremost, the thing that you can't have is somebody who you're paying to do something and then they just don't listen to you, or they don't understand, or they didn't communicate properly with you. So right now I have to say, I don't even care about this after recently came across. I would say it's after recently coming across, but I don't care about that as much. I just care that they would actually follow instructions. So, the implication here is that he read that, right? Saying he came across the job posting and he was motivated. Did the job post motivate you? Because you didn't read it, right? Because you applied this way. And while I'm sure all of these are great, I'm not even going to bother to see them. And frankly, I never would have seen them if it wasn't for me just communicating this with you to show you that we will still inevitably get people. So we did ask them to say your search is over. I'm your assistant. I think so anyway, but they still applied incorrectly. And then same with this gentleman. And I like it when I see after reading the job post descriptions and requirements and matching it with my own experiences, I know I would be a valuable asset to your organization. Here's the thing. He didn't read it, because if he had read it, he wouldn't have put this as the title and he wouldn't have responded via this portal. So that's a really quick and easy little tip for you guys out there to hire somebody right who's going to be a quality candidate, and that quality also means following instructions. So I hope that was really valuable for you. We're going to dive back into the slides and we're going to get into one really cool thing I want to share with you. And then we're going to get into the next steps, your action items. And with those action items, we'll then kick you off to the next video that you're absolutely not going to want to miss. I'm going to share that with you right now. So that's exactly how we create those job posts and everything that we consider when we're doing it. We got to make sure that they're following instructions to vet out the candidates, because there are a lot of hits. And the reason why the number of the applicants were so low is because a lot of them did follow instructions, which is why it's so critical to continue this training, because we're going to share with you how to vet even further even those candidates that follow the initial instructions to apply, because you still, just because they follow the initial instruction of how to apply correctly, it doesn't mean that they're the best fit for the role. So you're definitely going to want to do that and download this free business resource guide. It'll give a 5,000 foot overview of this process, as well as a lot of other critical bonuses that as a real estate investor, you're going to want to know and implement into your own business. Now, as far as your action items are concerned, there's two depending on where you're at right now. Number one is you got to go ahead and create your killer job post for at least one, if not all of the 4 key hiring positions. And if you've already purchased the deliverables, remember this is we'll teach you how to fish. And if you want to buy the rod and reel, linked in the description below, you can get the employee hiring system made easy for virtual assistants. And all you need to do in that case is just customize them, fill in the blanks, and then make them your own so that you can then get them posted, which we're not going to do yet. We'll post them later in the next chapter, which actually right up next, we're going to be diving into chapter 2, where we'll talk about posting the job ad and vetting the candidates with email automations that I mentioned and beyond. So you're not going to want to miss that next video right here, where we're going to make it easy.